You are listening to In Conversation with Jennie and Mark.
Hello, everyone. I am the Reverend Jennie Adams from Holy Trinity Church, Prince Consort Road, South Kensington.
And I am the Reverend Mark Adams from St Margaret's Church, Barking. I just need to cough, sorry. That's better. Right. I'm still the Reverend Mark Adams from St Margaret's Church, Barking.
Welcome to everyone to In Conversation with Jennie and Mark. That's us.
Yes, welcome. And if you are watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see Max in the corner of Jennie's screen. Now he wants to know what's going on because he really thinks it's time for his walk. But it's not, because we're recording.
We are.
So,
we have got this
yes.
week
Christmas
Sunday
is over.
before Lent. No, second Sunday before Lent.
We're in a short period of ordinary time.
Or if you're in prayer book, it's sexagesimal.
Oh, yes. Those wonderful words that are there.
But they're not the readings from that. So
I did some research on ordinary time and discovered that it really should be called ordered time, because ordinary is not the meaning that we usually have for it, because it just sounds like it's dull. But it's not dull, of course, because, we're
here
exploring the scriptures, which is never dull, is it, Jennie?
So ordered time.
It's called ordinary time, but I think that's probably a better translation of it, in my very humble opinion, which I'm known for my humility.
And does that make it sound like all bells, whistles, singing and dancing? Ordered time.
I think it makes it sound better than ordinary time to me. Ordinary, because it's just you'd get them wrong. But I don't think that's what we're here to talk about, is it? Really, unless you want to.
I hope not. I'm bored already.
It's a bit ordinary, isn't it?
Oh,
that's terrible.
Right, okay, give us the reading. Matthew 6, 25 to the end.
Okay, here we go. Give us the reading. Here it comes. I've got to find it. There we go. Matthew 6. Jesus said, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value? And can any of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your span of life? And why do you worry about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not clothed like one of these. But if God so clothes the grass of the field, which is alive today and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, will he not much more clothe you, you of little faith? Therefore do not worry, saying, what will we eat, or what will we drink, or what will we wear? For it is the Gentiles who strive for all these things. And indeed your heavenly Father knows that you need all these things. But strive first for the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. So do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring worries of its own. Today's trouble is enough for today." Don't worry, be happy.
Oh no, I've got don't worry about a thing.
Because every little thing is
gonna
I don't think they've
right.
tuned in to hear our singing, Jennie. Well, if they're still here, anyway. If anyone's still daring to listen to us. Famous passage. Sermon on the Mount, aren't we?
If you're not thinking of the life of Brian, you haven't watched enough films.
I am thinking of. I think I am thinking of that. I didn't know if you were going to mention it, but you did go there, and I was sort of thinking, actually, isn't it amazing what a famous passage it is that's what they decided to parody?
Well, yeah, there were a few, but yes, absolutely.
I know there were others too, but clearly it's yeah. So easy, eh? Easy peasy, yeah. Don't worry. What's the problem?
Yeah. There are a few challenges with it, just a few. It's easier said than done.
It is easier said than done.
What have you thought when you first read it? Tell me what you're bringing to this.
I think it's a wonderful, beautiful, amazing passage, poetic, heartfelt, reassuring, and all those wonderful things that we think about it. And I also think it's really difficult and really frustrating, because saying "don't worry," in my opinion and experience as being somebody who has done their fair share of worrying in my life, being told not to worry doesn't stop you worrying. In fact, you could argue it makes it worse, because now not only are you worrying oh, no, are you worrying? But you're worrying that you're worrying. And then you've worked out that Jesus is saying to it, so you're worrying that you're worrying that you're worrying, and on you go. So yeah, mixed feelings. But of course, it's a beautiful passage, and there's lots to celebrate in it.
I mean, I think you're obviously in good company because it was the Gentiles that went after these things.
Well, I
It's
am, of
good old
course, a
Gentiles.
Gentile.
It's the Gentiles' problem to worry.
I am, of course, a Gentile running
Yes.
after these things. Jesus is, of course, talking to a Jewish audience here. And yeah, anyway, there we go. So what do you think?
Um, I mean, I like the last line. I think I agree with you in as much as of the poetry and it explains the majesty of Christ and the creation. I think it's absolutely it does that really, yeah.
Hmm.
But then to say do not worry, it's not always the most helpful. Apart from, I'm trying to consider whether different people read it differently. So how would you hear it if you had money compared to how would you hear it if you didn't?
And interestingly, the commentary that I read does put it very much within that context, because we've just come out of a load of teaching in the Sermon on the Mount on money and the dangers of money and the challenges of money. So I think it is right to look at it within that context. Yeah.
And there is an element that if you have no money, so I'm thinking of some of the homeless that I speak to in central London. It does basically say, you are more important. These people, God cares for you more than, or as much as no, more than his creation, his beautiful creation. And I think that's that's quite comforting. But then you kind of contradict with that. So don't worry because it's all going to happen, and it doesn't happen, does it?
No, and of course, even not all the birds of the air get fed, and not all the lilies of the field survive. So
No.
it's that's not trying to countermark. But so Jesus knows that, right? I mean, he's not.
Yes, it's not supposed to be picked apart to that extent, is it? It is, look at the beauty of creation, really.
Yes.
Look at all this that we can create. Yeah. I wish I had more on it.
So what can we lest we just finish there and leave, what is Jesus saying to us? I mean, it is about seeing past perhaps your immediate circumstances if you're in a difficult place. I mean, it might be financial, it might be something else. It is about recognizing God's providential care for creation that God has made, and his care for creation of which we're a part of. That doesn't mean it's
So
just such a simple, well, trust God and don't worry and everything will be fine, because it's not always fine.
I think for me there are two things, and they're both the last two verses. So seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. So although we know that following Jesus doesn't mean that everything will be all right all the time, it does kind of put the focus in what is important. Seek first his kingdom. This is what,
Yes.
Other stuff will fall into place if you kind of seek first his kingdom.
And what does that mean, to seek first God's kingdom?
I would say practically, worship needs to come first, prayer needs to come first. You need to be looking for Jesus working in your everyday life. And for him working in the people that you speak to.
Yeah. And what, trying to live Jesus's way. I suppose it's interesting is that I suppose you could look back. I mean, the difficulty is we are taking this to an extent out of context, isn't it? That's the problem in some ways with the lectionary, because it just last week we were looking at Simeon and Anna, and now we're looking at this bit which comes at the end of the Sermon on the Mount, where actually I suppose Jesus in many ways has given us lots of teaching around how to seek for the kingdom. So looking about anger and money and relationships and all those sort of practical ways that you live that out, I guess, isn't it? I suppose actually I think I do have a little bit of a history with this passage in one particular way. So without going into lots of details, I did go through a particularly bad time in my life a few years ago, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I was really, really in a bad place. And I was living in North Cornwall at the time, and walked down the estuary from Weybridge, where I was living, towards Padstow, if anyone knows that beautiful trail. And of course, it's full of birds. Right? It's full of birds.
Yes.
And I remember looking out, and actually, ever since then, I think I said to you in the park the other day, I like watching the birds, don't I? And I do actually. I love watching birds fly, and it partly stems from that. I don't think I'd ever really. Of course, I'd noticed birds flying before. That would be ridiculous if I hadn't done that. But I'd not really just sort of stopped and really looked at them and this verse came to me, look at the birds of the air, and I thought, yes, they're not worried about what I'm worried about. They're just doing their thing, And there was something in that for me within this verse that it was a really tough time, but it did give me a reassurance that God is there and it's gonna be okay, and it has more than been okay. But
yes,
I think that is a beautiful picture, which was really helpful for me that time. Yeah.
And if I can just use that, I think so. There's a danger that we pick apart the passage and pick apart our lives, and yet the passage is giving this beautiful overarching picture of creation.
Yes.
And as you say, everything was okay, in fact, better than okay, but not every little bit. If you picked it apart, not everything went perfectly.
Yes.
But actually, overall, it was okay. And I think sometimes we can concentrate too much on the negative little details, but actually overall, is it going to be
It's also
all right?
reminding me of this thing we did once called the Happiness Lab, which I don't know if you've done it, haven't you?
I've done the Happiness Lab.
Okay,
Yeah,
I thought it was really good actually. And the first thing it talks about is gratitude. And I think that goes to, and actually the guy who was speaking about it spoke about gratitude is the antidote to some fancy word. I can't remember what it was now, but this sense that he talked about, when you get a new car, for the first week, it's a new car and it's lovely and you're really excited and it's a new car. And then by the second week, and by the time a month, it's not a new car anymore and you're bored and you moved on to something else, or, because you get used to that as the thing. And he was saying that gratitude is the antidote to that, because you keep giving thanks for the thing that you've got. So, you can give thanks for the new car when it's 6 months old, and you can still say, Lord, I'm so grateful that I've got, or just, so grateful that I've got this car. And I think that's to do with your basic outlook on life, isn't it? Which I suppose you can look at a passage like this and go, oh, but what about this and what about that? And as I did at the beginning, okay,
and it's easy to do, isn't
and it's easy to do. So, but Jesus is, and it's not to say that everything is always going to be okay, or you're not going to struggle or suffer, or that the birds of the air and the lilies of the field don't always.
No.
But it's about how you see the world and being able to live in that awe and wonder of God, which I think, actually, I'm going to shut up because I know you're going to tell me I'm talking too much. But
no.
I think that you came back to the thing about worship.
Yes.
Because
don't shut up there, because I don't know where you're going with it.
I'm stopping there because I thought you might tell me I was talking too much, and I thought you might want to get a word in edgeways.
Not just thrown under the bus like I've been working never stop.
Here comes the bus.
No, finish your thought.
That is my thought. I finished it. That actually gratitude, and then linking that to worship, because you linked worship to seeking first God's kingdom. What is it? I said, what does it mean to seek God's kingdom? And you said worship. And actually, worship and gratitude are quite close together, aren't they? So in worship, we're giving thanks to God for what God has done for us in creating us, and all that we could say about that. And so, I think worship, gratitude, seeking to live God's way, looking at the rest of his teaching. And if you do that, and I suppose what Jesus is saying, if you do that, you will you will see life in a different perspective, and you won't be so anxious.
Okay, that leads on to the final, leads on to the final verse, which I really like. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own.
It is a great verse. It's a great verse, and it's a great bit of practical teaching.
Yeah, and it's so relevant. People have really grasped this kind of idea, even without knowing that it's a biblical teaching or Jesus teaching, haven't they? Because that kind of living in the moment
Absolutely.
that,
Yeah.
you know, is high in society at the moment. You know, all the mindfulness, knowing, connecting with sort of who you are, what's going on around you, living for today and not.
But you say it's high in society, but I think it's high in society because it's never been harder to do.
Yeah,
Because we're so distracted, and I'm so distracted largely by this thing. This is a
yeah,
blessing and an incredible curse, right?
yeah.
It absolutely is, and of course, it's getting more and more kind of, into our lives, isn't it? And we don't know what the long-term effects of us having total connection all the time to. We joke about it, don't we? I know you sometimes get annoyed at me about it, but you can never speculate on anything anymore, can you? You can never say, I wonder what, because you can always find the answer.
And it's so annoying when
And
you
it's
just
so
say it and
annoying.
somebody starts Googling it. It really is so annoying. But you are right. Yes,
And I'm not,
everybody
yeah.
is recognizing this because you can now go on unplugged retreats where you have to hand your phone over and there are, no connection with the outside world at all because
I
people are
mean,
needing to switch off for 24 hours.
it would be, I mean, I'm really floating this as an idea. This has not been talked about before between us. I mean, you could almost do that ourselves, though, couldn't we? We could say, okay, we're going to turn our phone off for an hour, every night. I think some people do that. I read something about the sort of there's a 3-stage thing people have in the evenings. They make an agreement. They will turn their phone off for an hour. I'm not saying we're going to do this. We haven't decided yet.
No, we're not.
But we're not going to do it. Okay. But you could if you wanted to, if you're.
We could, but I don't think it's the easy answer, and I don't think it's the right answer.
Okay, what's the
Okay,
right answer then, Jenny?
because we can all just not look at our phone for 2 hours. But then if you're having to catch up, it's a bit like when you've got a lot of paperwork and things. If you don't do it, then it's still sitting there. Whereas actually the answer is to try and decrease your screen time consistently.
Yeah, but I
So
don't need to catch up on all the rubbish news articles that I read, do I? They just.
no, you don't. Oh, it's not. I'm not stopping you putting your phone down. I'm not texting you on it, so it doesn't matter to me.
Okay, but I think the point, the point is a good one, isn't it? That we are distracted, and you're quite right. This thing about living in the moment, and Jesus is on it here, and I think, there is, I think there is stuff within mindfulness, as you know, and I think Jesus is in this area here. Don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will look after itself. I think that's a brilliant piece of practical teaching. It's just difficult to do.
So, are you preaching on Sunday?
I am.
Okay. So tell me how you would preach this passage.
Well, I'm worried about what I'm going to say, obviously, so I've got to do that. So I'm disappearing.
Brilliant.
Disappearing up my own fundament, as they might say.
Excuse me.
Okay. Yeah, what might I say? I think it's been really helpful to put together those themes of seeking first God's kingdom, linking that with worship and thankfulness, and therefore also connection with others, a sort of finding your center so that then you can be connected to God and be connected in healthy ways to other people. I think that's really crucial. And then if you do that, maybe you've got a chance of seeing what this means. Yeah, I think it's like you can't. Sometimes I think if you want to solve a problem here, you've got to start over here. But if you look at the problem here, then you'll never fix it. So if you say the answer is "don't worry," that just spins you out. It just spins you out because you will worry about worrying. Yeah,
well,
and
if we start first by seeking.
Yeah, so you start first by seeking God's kingdom, and then from that, then Jesus says, then these things will be added to you as well. So I think that's where we have to start. And if we start there, we might have a chance of living more of that free life that Jesus wants for us.
Okay.
But if you start focusing on the do not worry as a kind of command that then you're failing in, you're never going to get there.
No, nicely done. I'll use that.
And we've got, we're quite excited this week, aren't we? Because we've got In Conversation with Jennie and Mark live on Saturday.
We have.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're going to go and do, I think it's some kind of curate ministry authorized local preachers training event, which we have been invited to speak at through doing this podcast. So
Yeah,
for
I've
a
not
very
looked at that
extortionate
passage
fee
right
as
now.
well. I mean, we're getting paid massive dollar, aren't we? Not,
Oh, yeah.
by the way. So yeah, if you want to invite us to come and do In Conversation with Jennie and Mark live somewhere, we're up for that, aren't we?
We'll do that. No problem at all. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Let's do it.
Are we good? Are we done?
We're good.
We're
Finished.
done. We're good. We're finished. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good week. And remember, seek first God's kingdom, and then we might not be able to worry.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Take care then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to In Conversation with Jennie and Mark. Please subscribe for more episodes on all the usual podcast platforms.